everyone. This video is to go along with the sex-linked slide assignments that is going to go over sex-linked inheritance. This is supposed to serve the purpose of going over it just like we would in class. So there will be some breaking points where I'm going to actually have you solve the problem on your own. And if those problems are still unclear to you after going through a few examples as a class virtually, please don't hesitate to email me and I'm happy to do another recording of those specific problems. So we've gone over Mendelian genetics, which is when you have two recessive alleles, the recessive phenotype shows up. If you have one dominant allele, either heterozygous or homozygous dominant, the dominant trait will show up. And in Mendelian genetics, the dominant trait can mask or always masks the recessive trait. In sex-linked traits, however, it's slightly different. And I want to remind you that XX, 2X chromosomes, indicates that that individual was born as a female. XY indicates that individual is a male. So the very first problem we're going to go over is on fly eye color. The eye color of a fly is located on the X chromosome. Because a female has two X chromosomes, she must have two recessive alleles to show the recessive phenotype or physical characteristic. X big R is dominant, coding for red eyes. X little r is recessive, coding for white eyes. So the very first thing I want to do on this slide is identify those phenotypes and genotypes. Because we are identifying two phenotypes here, I really want you guys to be specific. I do want to teach you a trick on superscripts because I know a lot of you have asked in the past, hey, do I have to make that big R above the X? I would prefer that you do because I think it's going to help with your clarity when you are looking over this later on. So all of these XX are going to be female. So let's go ahead and start just by identifying if these genotypes are female or male. So XX, we've got female. XX, we've got female again. XY, remember the Y is not going to carry anything in terms of this trait. Only X's are because it's inherited X on the X chromosome. These are males. Halfway done. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and identify, do these females and males either have red eyes or white eyes? And remember, red eyes are dominant. But this is going to kind of look like our Mendelian genetics on the females where X bigger, red eyes, or homozygous dominant. Homo means the same. Dominant means that allele is dominant. Here we've got heterozygous female because we've got one big R, one little r. And here we've got homozygous recessive because we have little r, little r. So this female is going to be red eyes or white eyes? Red eyes because she has one of those big R's. This female, however, is going to have white eyes because she has that homozygous recessive trait. This male, there is no heterozygous option because Ys are not going to carry this trait at all. So X big R, this would be a red-eyed male. And this male would be white-eyed. This is going to be a great key. So when you guys are taking the assessment and doing activities, always identify the phenotypes and genotypes in the very beginning so you can go back and refer to that, okay? So we're going to come back to slide 2 when we need it. And we've got several problems. We've got 1, 2, 3 sex-linked problems. I'm going to do the first 2 with you. So same thing as the last slide. The eye color of a fly is located on the X chromosome. Because a female has 2 X chromosomes, she must have 2 recessive alleles to show the recessive phenotype. X big R is dominant, coding for red eyes, and X little r is recessive, coding for white eyes. So what I have down here is you don't actually have to copy and paste these. I already made multiples. All these red-eyed individuals, all these white-eyed individuals, you're going to actually be dragging and dropping those so you can represent the phenotype. This would be like coloring them in class. So let's go ahead and put these together. Now, as a rule, always put X's before Y's and always put the dominant allele before the recessive allele. So here we have X big R, X little r. X big R, X little r. Now, let me show you how you can make these superscripts so they're up high. If you highlight what needs to be raised up, you can either go to Format, Text, and you'll see superscript, like Superman can fly. So superscript. Or if you have a Mac, you can highlight it and click Command period, and that's going to raise that for you. I'm sorry, these are a little small to see. So that's going to be X big R, X little r. I'm going to bold that for you so you can see it a little larger. All right, this one right here, we're going to get a male here. We have X big R, Y. So X big R, Y. Again, we're going to highlight that R, go to Format, Text, Superscript, or you can click Command period. And again, I apologize for making these so small. All right, this one, we're going to have another female. Now we've got X little r and X big R. Always put that big R before the little r. So we have X big R, X little r. Make this larger for you guys. And I'm going to start doing that command period so we can go ahead and move right along, okay? This one, we're going to get another male, and we are going to have X big R, Y, and command period. That's going to raise that up for us and make this a little bigger. You do not have to make it bigger when you're turning it in. This is just for the purpose of the video. Okay, so we figured out the genotypes of the offspring. There's a 50% chance of having a male. There's a 50% chance of having a female. Now let's go ahead and identify those phenotypes. X big R, X little r is going to be red. Remember how I said the very first thing we should do is fill out a chart like this? This is going to be a great indicator for you, okay? So anytime you see XX, it's a female. Anytime you see XY, it's a male. And that big R is dominant and represents red. So if it's homozygous dominant or heterozygous, that female is going to be red. And if one of those big R's shows up in a male, it's going to have red eyes. So let's do the females first. This one's heterozygous. This one's heterozygous. Both of these females are going to have red eyes. All right, now let's look at these males. We have X big RY and X big RY. Both of the males are going to be red-eyed. All you have to do for that first slide, okay? Let's go on to the next one. All righty. Right here, I tell you guys, we have X big R, X little r, female, so a red-eyed female, crossed with a red-eyed male. Zoom in a little bit for you guys. All righty. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and split these alleles. It doesn't matter what side you put it on, just be consistent. So we have X big R, X little r for the female. So X big R, and again, same deal as before, make that a superscript. And then we have X little r. Oops, sorry guys. Okay. And then we've got a male with X big RY. And a nice trick, once you do it once, you can just copy and paste that. All right, X big R and Y. All right, so let's go ahead and cross these individuals. These beautiful fruit flies are going to make some babies for us. So this offspring is going to be a female with X big R, X big R. And again, you can just copy and paste those if you'd like. X big R, X big R. This individual is going to be X big R, X little r. Ooh. This individual is going to be X big R, Y. So that's going to be a male. And this individual is going to be X little r, Y. All right. So we know that this side are males. This side are females. And again, if you need to refresh, go to that slide 2 and look at those phenotypes and genotypes. So right here, we have a female that is X bigger. It's homozygous dominant. So that female is going to definitely have red eyes. I don't know why the dictionary always pops up on this one. This female is heterozygous, so they are also going to have red eyes. This male is going to have red eyes because it has that dominant allele. And this male is actually going to have white eyes because it doesn't have a big R at all. Okay? All right. So this one right here, I want you to do this one on your own. Remember, if you guys struggle with this, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to go ahead and do a video on this one as well. But this time you're going to have a red-eyed female that is heterozygous and a red-eyed male that is red-eyed. So it's going to have one big R and you're going to fill it out just the same. Now, here, are males or females more likely to have the recessive phenotype? Why? So let's talk about this. Right here, what are the chances, or what is the ratio, or what is the chance in general that a female will have the recessive trait, which is white eyes? Well, 1, 2, 3, 1 out of 3 females, or 1 out of 2 males. So males are more likely to get their recessive phenotype. Males are most likely to get the recessive phenotype. And that is because the gene for this is carried on the X chromosome and they only have one X chromosome. So they don't have it on the Y. So they don't have the option of being heterozygous. They only are with it or without it. They're not a carrier. Okay. And explain that. They only have one X chromosome and the Y chromosome does not carry the allele. Okay. All right. So that's sex-linked. Now, we are going to move on to codominant sex-linked traits. And I want to remind you again, incomplete dominance is when there is a blend of traits. But in codominance, both traits can show up. So for example, in incomplete dominance, you have a red flower and you have a white flower. They cross and they can make a pink flower or a blend, okay? In codominance, if you were to have a red flower and a white flower, your offspring could actually have red and white petals, okay? So the color of a cat's fur is a dominant sex-linked trait and is located on the X chromosome. If a cat has an XO, it will have orange fur. If the cat has an XB, it will have black fur. However, if the cat has both traits, it will be spotted. Complete the following crosses and answer the questions that follow. As a reminder, you're going to notice that the Y chromosome does not carry either of these traits. And I want you to think about that, or either of the alleles, which is what I really want you to think about as we're filling these out, okay? So we have X's, we have Y's, okay? So our options for the females are BB or BO. So if it's XB, it will have black fur. If it has XO, it will have orange fur. If it has XO, it will be a female and it will have spots, okay? In the XY, these are both males. And XB would mean it is a black cat. And XO would mean that it is an orange cat. But is it possible for a male cat to be spotted? Why or why not? No, it is not possible, because in order for it to be spotted, it has to have B and O. It is not biologically and genetically possible for a male cat to inherit a B and an O because Y chromosomes do not carry the allele. Chromosomes. I know how to spell, I promise. Okay? All right, and remember to come back to this. So we're going to do a couple of these problems together as a class. So The color of a cat's fur is codominant sex-linked trait located on the X chromosome again. If a cat has an XO, it will have orange fur. If the cat has an XB, it will have black fur. And if it has both, it will be spotted. Complete the following crosses and answer the questions that follow. So we are going to cross an orange male, XOY, and a spotted female, XBXO. So let's go ahead and start with the female. We have XB, and again, I'm going to make this bigger because I have no idea why I made it so small. And we're going to make that a superscript, XB. And then we have a XO. Command period, XO. And then we have a male, which is XOY. So to make life a little bit easier, I'm going to copy and paste this one. Oop, or not. XO and a Y. All right, let's go ahead and fill out these crosses. So here we're going to get females. Here we're going to get males. So here we're going to have XBXO, XBXO. Forgive me, my dogs wanted to say hello. That was Clifford. All right. Then we're going to have XOXO. Again. XOXO. All right, guys. All right, bold that, make it bigger. And again, superscript those. And then right here, we are going to have XBY and XOY. XBY. And XOY. All right. Make that a superscript. And now we're going to just go ahead and identify the phenotypes. So here we have two female offspring because they have two X's. Here we have two male offsprings because they have XY. XBXO, if you remember correctly, that's going to be a female with spots. So let's go ahead and make that a female with spots. And you can make it bigger if it drives you nuts. Here we're going to have XOXO. Remember, if it has an O on its own, it's going to be an orange female. Here we have two males, okay? XB is going to be a black male, and XO is going to be an orange male. And once again, go back to those genotype and phenotype charts and fill that out to help you, okay? Now, what I would like to do is I'm going to do one more, and this last problem I want you to do on your own, okay? So on this one, we have XBXO, so we have a spotted female, and we have XBY, so we have a black male. So XB XO and we have XBY. All right, so let's go ahead and start filling out that chart. On this side, we're going to have two X's, so those are going to be females. On this side, we are going to have XY, so those are going to be males. And we're just going to stick those alleles together and see what type of offspring we have. So here, we're going to have XBXB. Here, we're going to have XBXO. Here, we are going to have XBY. It's going to be a male offspring. And then here we're going to have XOY. Okay, so now let's drag and drop again. Feel free to go back to slide 7 to use that as a tool. But we have XB, so we know it's going to be a female cat. XY is going to be a male cat. XB is a black female. XBXO is a spotted female. XBY is a black male. And XOY is an orange male. Okay. Now, on this last one, this is one that I want you to do on your own. Alexander and Dylan were given a litter of cats. All of the kittens came from the same mother and father. They wondered what the mother and father's genotypes and phenotypes were. All of the male kittens are orange, and all of the female kittens are spotted. Identify their genotypes. So I've given you the offspring filled out. I want you to figure out what are the parents' phenotypes and genotypes and fill those out. Okay. When you're done, go ahead and submit this as a cloud assignment. Let me know if you guys need anything else. Bye.